Hello, I'm Bryan Casey. I'm a film director in Portsmouth, Rhode Island. I'm also a screenwriter as well as producer of a YouTube show called Short Film Showcase. I got into filmmaking originally as a makeup artist. Locally there was a group that got together to discuss film. They were called the Newport Film Salon. I came to the group and introduced myself as a makeup artist. And, you know, there were other people there, such as actors and so forth. And from the discussions came the idea of making a short film called The Last Sentence. And for that one, I didn't have to do a lot of special effects makeup that I was trained for, but I was able to do some key makeup. And that segued into another project because the person who started it was an actor for another production called The Forest of Black Fathom. Done by TSL Productions, that is now out in N.E.A. And, you know, from there it just kind of went on and on. I was scouted on that set. That led me to do another horror film, a vampire film. And that's pretty much how I got into doing filmmaking. What inspired me to do films was, it was something my dad and I shared in common, was old films and films in general. And I used to visit him on weekends after my parents separated. We used to watch this show called The Creature Double Feature on Channel 56, which had all the old Universal horror films. This is also what inspired me to do special effects makeup in general. Anyway, later that year on Christmas, my dad got me my first 8mm camera, which I still have. And we shot a short film called the Sunny Acres Massacre, which was derivative of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, only we named it after the trailer park that we were living in, which was Sunny Acres. And it was a lot of fun. And, you know, you learn a little bit. Later on, we got ourselves an actual video camcorder, which was capable of doing more. So, yeah, that's what inspired me to start doing film. The first screenplay I ever wrote, well, as a makeup artist, I had never done alien makeup, and I'd always wanted to do something like that. And so I actually wrote my first screenplay for someone else to direct and produce. And it was called Helping Others. It was kind of a cross between cheesy 50s style sci-fi with sort of a Monty Python British humor to it. It was a very silly screenplay. I wrote it in one shot, and it's about a guy who discovers little aliens in his backyard who are stranded on Earth, and they ask for his help, and of course, and he decides, well, my life is too busy and I can't really, you know, do anything for you. So they end up kind of taking over his mind and making him help them, and well, it was just a silly exercise for my writing, and eventually led me to more serious screenwriting, which is my forte, is dramatic. I've written quite a few scripts, actually. I'd say about 15, 16 scripts. About 8 of them have actually made its way to the stage of making it into a film. Yeah, and basically a lot of the scripts I write are just more practice writing, just to learn structure and kind of find my voice, I guess, as a writer. The first screenplay of mine that became a short film was called Along a Dark Road. This wasn't originally going to be the first one I did. The first one I wanted to direct was called Conscience, which was a dramatic film about a man with regrets, about killing a young teen girl while he was drunk driving. But it was a very long script, and I wanted something that was faster, easier to shoot. I wrote Along a Dark Road in one sitting, very simple. You know, we had one location really, which was the car that we shot in. And, you know, I got the opportunity to direct through a friend of mine who I was doing makeup for. And we shot this in between days off from another production, and the film is basically about it's a man who picks up a mysterious stranger on the side of the road, and it's slowly he discovers who this person is, and we had kind of worked in a domestic violence kind of angle into there to add more dramatic tension to the story. But anyway, that was the first time I directed a film.
Alex, whatever happened to that partner of yours? Was his name Richard?
Never liked the bar business.
Left town. Hey, Alex.
So, is that what happened?
Hey, you need to pay your debts off, especially the guys like that.
That's an interesting take on it, isn't it?
What are you doing?
I don't know.
Look, Sal's gone. It's just you and me. You can talk to me.
I have to fight for this place. It's not for me, it's for you.
Maybe you just need to let it go.
What are you gonna do, boy?
I made the choice to get into directing. The first shot I had at directing really was I was doing special effects makeup for a friend of mine on her film, and I had expressed my interest in giving it a shot, giving it a go, and I'd written my script already, A Long Dark Road, and fortunately she was willing to help me in this area, and so she shot the film and edited afterwards. And my first time making a film, I remember I showed it at a film festival, and I was very nervous because again it was not an area that I was comfortable with yet, but I knew the actors, and of course I knew my DP, so that made it a lot easier, and it got a really good response. So it definitely encouraged me to do more. As far as Hollywood actors I'd like to work with, I mean, there's so many I'd like to work with, but if I had to come off the top of my head with one male actor I'd like to work with is Paul Giamatti. I think he's really an incredibly talented actor. My favorite role of his was Barney's Version, which is about a man who's falling into dementia. I also enjoyed his film Sideways. And what I like about Paul Giamatti, aside from the fact that he's very talented, is that he's one of those actors who can say a lot with body language. And he can say a lot in a scene without even using dialogue, which is something that a lot of actors just don't understand, I think. And he plays such a diverse range of characters. So, he's someone definitely I'd like to work with. As far as female actors, I always liked Juliette Lewis. The reason I like her so much, again, like Paul Giamatti, she can kind of disappear into a character, and she's very fearless. She's willing to do anything in a scene. And to work with both of them together would be really fantastic. As far as rewards for doing this, if I would never suggest anybody get into this for the money. You definitely have to do this because you're passionate about it and you love being creative and just having your work seen. I think an applause at the end of a film is very gratifying. To be able to reach an audience. I remember when I showed my film Unrequited, which is about a guy who's very shy and insecure, trying to approach the woman of his dreams. And I had a couple guys in the audience who said that I nailed that feeling of anxiety and insecurity, certainly not from personal experience. And they said they really related to the character and understood the character. He came off as a real person. Which is a compliment I got for another film I did, A Search for Home, is that the characters felt very true to life and really fleshed out like people that they knew, that they could relate to. And I think as a filmmaker and a writer in particular, you really can't get any bigger compliment than, I really get that. I get what you're saying. I'm looking at this piece of the human experience, and I'm relating to it. I'm touched by it. So that's pretty rewarding. Finding the right actor for my characters. I mean, because I get a great deal of joy writing the script and coming up with the characters, coming up with the story, coming up with the characters, and to have the right actor bring that character to life is really quite a reward. There's lots of advice I could give, but if I were to give one specific piece of advice, is just be persistent and patient, and learn your craft. Find out what your voice as a filmmaker is, and make your work personal. I think that's because, again, if you're not doing this to communicate, to connect with the audience, then I don't see any reason for doing filmmaking.